That's live? That was like the thumbs, the silent thumbs up was live.
You're live.
Rockstars was shaking. Thanks so much for joining us. We're here at the Hay Bale Studio in Bonnaroo, and you rock for joining us on this live stream. This is like our first legit scheduled live stream thing, I think, at least like this, I think. So, yeah, you guys, you probably already know me. I'm Lid Shaw, recording studio Rockstars, the Toy Box Studio, and this is the Hay Bale Studio Bonnaroo. And we've got a full crew of people here, which I want to start by introducing. First off, this is Michael Hardesty right here.
What's up, guys?
Michael is, a.k.a. Megahertz, is our main engineer. He's helps me make sure all this stuff is working, and then we get the studio all sorted out and set up. And slightly off camera over here is Mr. Chris B, a.k.a. Joe Hutchinson.
Hello.
I did that one backwards, didn't I?
Mr. Crispy is my actual name.
Joe, you guys may have heard Joe on episode 13 of the podcast. So Joe is mastering engineer supreme, a.k.a. louder than Lander.
Totally.
And Joe does all the mastering for us here at the Hay Bale Studio, as well as mastering all the rest of the year up in Tennessee. And over here we got Mr. Nick Lobel, a.k.a. According to Siri, Nick Lobel. What's your other nickname over here? Is that it? I mean, your name is Nick.
Just Nick, I guess.
Just Nick? All right. So Nick is another recording engineer, supreme, extreme. He was an intern with us at the Toy Box Studio, and now just like makes hit records, and I'm lucky to get to hang out with him when he lets me. And he's doing all the live floor stuff. So we'll take you guys out and kind of show you around a little bit and show you what we do here. We've been setting up, so we've kind of got everything in place, but we haven't started our sessions. Tomorrow we start our sessions, and then we'll just be checking in with you guys all weekend as we do more stuff. And then spin the camera this way, and we have Mr. Sean DeLeon, which you guys all know already from previous webinars that we've done and things like that, a.k.a. Sean Dilly. And then spin the camera around, do a full 360 there, full 180. Addie Prado, woo! Addie, who's our new intern at the studio, and she's shooting all the videos. So we got a full crew. This is the Hay Bale Bonnaroo crew. And let's give shout outs to people, too, see who's on.
Yeah, well, we got Adrian.
Who do we got right now? We got Gavin. Shout out to you, Gavin. And Adrian. Awesome.
Don Greywolf 1.
Don Greywolf 1. Awesome. What's it? How's it?
Yeah, how's it from sunny for now NorCal?
Nice. And Pete Johns joined us. Awesome. Ooh. And Pete, wait, you're across the date line, right? You're in Thursday already. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And then we've also got, Chris. What's up, dude? Glad you're here, man. And Joe. Wow, we've hit the big time now. So welcome, guys. Awesome. I think we should, just like do a little, just to kind of explain what we're doing here first, and then we want to just talk about this whole thing. We'll riff on it, kind of just have a conversation, shoot the shite, and also like feel free to ask questions as we go. If they start going up the chat, Sean can easily copy it, and we'll keep them and make sure we're answering them. We'll just try and answer them in real time. This is totally informal, and we just wanted to hang out with you straight from Bonnaroo. I don't know, I guess we can like end this, we'll like all take the camera, we'll just go straight outside and go walk around the compound or something, and just do like a real roaming live stream. But dude, how would you describe what's Bonnaroo first off?
Well, for us or for a normal attendee?
Just like, for anybody. For these guys.
I mean, for a normal attendee, I've only been once, but it was absolute mayhem. I mean, you're out in a field with, at that point, it was like 10 years ago, it was like 80,000 people. So you're tired, you're hungry, and you're just having the best time of your life. You're also very sleepy, always sleepy, but you're also seeing like a ton of great music. So for us, it's a little different. It's more of like instead of 4 days or like a long weekend, it's basically like a week of setting up in Nashville, driving to Manchester, setting up again, testing everything. How many times? 10 times?
Last 10.
20 times. And then dealing with a bunch of sweaty bands. And it's awesome.
So, Joe, where are we relative to Nashville?
We're in Manchester, Tennessee. It's about an hour south of Nashville. Yeah.
About an hour south. And Bonnaroo is 4 days. How many bands are here?
A lot.
Do we know?
Tons
Do we
of
have any official
bands.
counts? Google it. I don't know.
We didn't do
So
research.
Bonnaroo is. Oh yeah, we even forgot to print out our schedule to tell you all about it. Maybe you can pull up the schedule on the computer too. We'll tell you bands that we're going to be recording this weekend. But Bonnaroo is an annual 4-day festival, 1 hour south of Nashville in Manchester, Tennessee. And I would say there's like over 100 bands probably performing
Definitely.
here, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
So there's huge big stage bands. This year we've got U2. Who are the other? Oh, and Red Hot Chili Peppers are playing.
The Weeknd.
The Weeknd.
Chance the Rapper.
Chance the Rapper, yeah. And then you've got, so the big stages, and then you've also got the tents. I think it was 3 tents. This year they've converted one of the tents to an all-night DJ affair. So that's where we'll be when we're not working, is just grooving to some DJ EDM.
There's also a comedian. There's a lot. Of
Yeah, there's a
comedy.
comedy tent. In fact, we just ran into the woman who runs it on our way back from dinner. She said there's going to be a bunch of great stuff. There's a movie theater here that runs 24/7, and so tomorrow night, go Preds!
Yeah.
We'll be in there watching the Stanley Cup. I assume they're going to broadcast it. That would be ridiculous if they
Oh,
didn't,
yeah.
right?
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Have to.
So yeah, and then the rest of the time they just show movies all night. So if you ever get tired while you're at Bonnaroo watching endless music, you can just go to the movie theater and check that out. And then there's like this whole area called Bonnaroo where it's crafts and food and pizza slices and stuff like that. But what we do here at the Hay Bale Studio, you got a question already? No,
No.
We just froze up.
Well, he said that's a big fat joke. Hit it big time to Joe.
Nice. So what we do is we set up the Hay Bale Studio inside a double wide trailer. So you can kind of see that down in this end is a big room. We've got this control room window. This is actually more permanent than we've ever had. This is our 13th year doing this. Hence the 13 skunks of the 13-piece Grand Skunkestra on our t-shirt this year. And we will have, we team up with radio stations around the country. So there's usually, it's 4 days. Our target in the past has been 40 bands in 4 days. This year we actually have a little lighter load, thank goodness. So we don't have to work quite as hard. And we've usually teamed up with up to 40 radio markets. That's a lot of fours all at once. And that's for radio all over the country. So what they do is, in the same way that a band would come into a local radio station, if they were going to play in Nashville, they might come into the local station, Lightning 100, and just perform a song, and then Lightning 100 plays it on the radio, and then they kind of announce that they're playing a gig that night. At Bonnaroo, a band who comes here can come into our studio. We'll have them in here for an hour, and they can record 2 or 3 songs, and then they get mastered by Joe here immediately and uploaded to a shared server, and then the radio stations all over the country have access to them. And so that means that radio stations all over the country can be playing music from Bonnaroo for those bands and like kind of bringing them to their listeners. So it's a really cool opportunity. It's kind of a unique thing. This is sort of a one-of-a-kind opportunity here. We haven't really done this with any other festivals. And it's a great experience for us because we get to have all these incredible bands come in all weekend. And each band is an hour, and we'll record a few songs for them. And we have to record it, mix it, and master it, and turn around and put it on radio within an hour. So it's about as fast as it gets for doing recorded music. Mm-hmm. So I thought we would kind of walk through a little bit about what our setup is, what we do, let you guys just throw in questions as we go, and give a shout out, ask us anything you want. There's definitely some different stuff going on for us this year. In the past, we have brought a great variety of mixing consoles and different setups. So we'll mix it live to 2-track. We need to capture multi-track.
Yep.
for all the tracks at the same time, and then do the mastering. And then this year we actually teamed up with PreSonus, who sent us this big, beautiful digital console, the PreSonus Studio Live 32,
Series 3.
the Series 3.
It's important.
And we're also using Studio One version 3 to record into, and UC Surface.
Yep.
So Michael gets to help control the mix. Nick, oh yeah, well sorry, before we even talk about that, Joe is capturing for mastering. He's also recording into Studio One over there. And Nick and Sean Dilly out on the floor have, you guys have UC Surface going on iPads, right?
Yeah.
So that means, why don't you explain what you can do with that?
So we can control the headphone mixes going out to the musicians. So if they need, the vocalist needs to hear more themselves, we can just pull it up on the iPad and give them a little bit more.
Nice. So one of the challenges, as you can imagine, is with the whole band in a small room, playing together, drums, vocals, guitars, everything. Sometimes that works out perfectly, and everybody's got a great balance. And then other times, the singer or somebody can't really hear themselves great in the headphones because there's a loud guitar or loud drums going. And so this time we're going to be able to send custom mixes out to different headphone boxes. We have the PreSonus again. The PreSonus HP4 makes a great simple 4-channel headphone box that's very loud.
Yeah.
So you can turn it up
Yeah.
and really crank it.
That's kind of the big advancement I think we've had with this mixer is for the first time we've been able to do we're doing 4 custom mixes. I think in the past we've only done 1 or 2. So
Yeah, like 1 or 2,
great.
right? So, do we have any questions yet? You guys got any questions? All right, cool. Well, let's just keep going. We'll keep trucking through and we'll kind of walk through what some of our setup is here. So this is the mixing console, and what this is doing is we've got 24 channels coming in from out on the floor. Coming in through mic snakes, we're just using XLR to D-sub connectors that go back out to XLR, and we can leave different groups of 8 out there, 1 near the drums, 1 in the middle, 1 on this end where we've got vocal mics and stuff like that. And those just come in. We're using a little bit of outboard gear, so we've decided to bring some of the stuff we've used in the past. So these down here are the Calrec PQ1161 mic pre's, which sound great, and they've got EQ on them, and the 2 Calrec compressors. So we'll run our lead vocal A and lead vocal B through these guys, and then they go through the compressors, and then they hit the de-essers down here, the DBX 902s. And that just gives us a solid, warm, vibalicious vocal chain. So that's great now. And then we brought another pair of mic pre's. These are the Con 2242s. He's a designer out of St. Louis. And we've got the 2 guitar mics, the electric guitar mics coming into there. But we might even switch them up and put them on something else. But for now we got it there. And so that again gives us just like a really great tone on the guitars. So that covers some basics, right?
We got a question, Lynch.
Okay, yeah, let's do it. What do we got?
Pete Johns, he says, how often do you get through in one take, and have you had any bands that really struggle?
Yes, we've had some bands that really struggle. Can't say that I'm at liberty to name drop on this live one, but I would say that the battles and wars we've had with some of the bands that have been in here, usually we try and solve, like we had a band that was really having a tough time at one point, but it was really kind of, it tends to be more in the sound check, right?
Yeah, I mean they're probably either A, about ready to go on stage, or B, they just got off of stage, and a lot of times when they come in here their sound check is probably so different than what's going on in their live show that sometimes that can really throw people off, so we have to do a lot of work on the front end to make sure their headphones are all good and that they're super comfortable. If that's the case, we can generally get them through.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so I would say that, though, honestly, in general, we're pretty lucky. We try and set strict guidelines because each band has to be in and out in an hour. So, there's another band scheduled. So that's kind of the rule of, if you're familiar with Parkinson's law, which says that any task will and Joe and Chris on this, I know if you guys are still watching, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it says that any task will expand to fit the time allotted for it, which essentially means if you've got an hour to record 3 songs and you hustle, you're going to get 3 songs done in an hour. And if you give yourselves all day, it's going to take all day to do 3 songs. So with that in mind, because there's another band coming in next hour, and so we're under pressure, the band just pretty much, they'll deliver and they'll give us their best performance. And so we'll do it on a first take. So it's primarily 99% of the time a first take.
Yep.
How many times do we do second takes, Joe?
Super rarely. Not
Super
very
rare,
often,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that was the long answer to the question, but it's really rare that we do a second take, and then we might let a band just choose. I remember doing one last year. I don't remember who that was for,
Yeah.
but I think she was right too, because when she was done, her second take sounded great.
They usually are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the artist usually knows.
Yeah. So yeah, and the other part of that too is while the band's doing their first take, we've never heard the song before.
Yeah, right.
So I'm actually mixing it. I should say we're mixing it because it's, especially with this one, it's really a combined effort. Michael is, well, I'm over here and I'll be mixing in headphones. Where are my headphones? Here we go. The Biodynamic DT770s. Same pair of headphones, or at least same model that I've mixed in for 12 years at Bonnaroo. So these things sound great. I think there are plenty of good headphone choices. The most important thing is that you feel comfortable with them so that you don't have to second guess what you're doing. But I'll mix in those, and then Michael's got a pair of headphones on, and tell us what you're doing over there.
Yeah, so I'm in UC Control, which is basically an exact copy of the console. So I think anything that Lich can do, I can do as well.
Just say I can do better.
Yeah, not better. I can do as well. My main goal is to get pre's and compressors and do the right gain staging so that I'm getting my multi-tracks recorded properly up here in Studio One. I'm also taking a print of the mix, but generally I'm dealing with a lot of individual tracks, and then I also help the guys out on the floor get headphone mixes going and everything like that. But
so this essentially controls everything inside the console.
100%. So whether
it's kind of cool because you could have this on the one laptop, but you could have 3 laptops going that are all hooked up at the same time. So you could even like give people different responsibilities, right?
Yeah, because you can actually per instance of UC control, you can like lock certain users in and out of certain functionalities. So for example, the iPad that is out on the floor can't control anything that has to do with our main mix. It can only control the aux sends, which do the headphone mixes, where my laptop has 100% full control, so I can do really anything.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
That's super useful.
With the idea that you can control auxiliary mixes on an iPhone or an iPad, it means that you could have somebody wandering around just doing a cue. You could, if you were working with an artist and it was a little bit more of a permanent setup, if we were making a record with a band and it was just the same band all day long, we'd just give each member of the band their own iPhone login and their own cue mix, and they could screw it up for themselves all day long. So we'll get into more of that too. We'll talk about the best way to approach doing a headphone mix and giving people what they want.
So we got
Sean
2
did.
questions actually.
There you go.
First one is from Joe Gilder. Says, with that tight schedule, are you mixing down live to 2-track, or do you have time to mix after the session before mastering and uploading to the
Joe,
radio
that is an
stations?
excellent question. And the answer is we are mixing live to 2-track on the first take of the song. So we do capture multi-track, and in this case, what's unique about this year and using the PreSonus Studio Live 32 that's so cool about it is, and we've never had this ability before, but we can do a remix afterwards if we need to, if we want to. I don't think we will, because we always end up with something really cool by doing a live mix. But if we wanted to, all I have to do, all our tracks would be recorded in there. When the band leaves, Michael would rewind, which is really hard, right? You hit the one key.
Yep.
And then I go over here, and I hit this network button, hold that. You see the blue is all blinking because that's analog inputs from the floor. I come over here and I just swipe, and now my entire mixer, instead of listening to the mics coming off the floor, is now listening to playback from Studio One, and it can play back the mix for me, and then I can just do the mix again. Now I would have to remix it. It's not like it captures the mix that I did, and then I can just adjust it like automation. It's different from that. But here we got some folks coming in. Is that Andy?
Hey, buddy.
What's up, dude? Come on in.
Sorry.
This is Andy. Andy's been doing Bonnaroo with us. Dude, come on in, man. You're live on YouTube.
Hey, how's it
How
going?
you doing, man? Andy Putnam, everybody. He's Bonnaroo veteran.
Oh, yeah.
Nice stash, dude.
Thanks. Nice beer.
Thanks, man. Everybody's leaving me. Everybody's getting out of the shot now, too.
All right.
Come on over. I want to hang right here for a second. No, I won't. We get better light over here. So yeah, we do a live mix, but this is cool because you can remix it that way. And if I want to go back in and go back to mixing off the floor, I just go like that. So this is really handy. What was the other question?
Is your gear your own or supplied?
Combination. In this case, PreSonus was kind enough to outfit us with the mixer and software and headphone boxes.
Headphone boxes.
Yeah, and we're so pleased with how well it's working right now. I will say that there was a learning curve. We had to really like teach ourselves how to do this stuff. But now that we've got everything dialed in, it's sounding great. Like our test run was really sounding good to me in the headphones. That I'm kind of hoping we can just do like a very very PreSonus studio for next year. So shout out to you too, PreSonus, if you guys are watching this already. What was it? Was there another one?
Yeah, there's one more.
All right, go.
Pete John just asked, do bands get copies of their masters, and can they release and distribute the tracks on their own?
So good question, Pete. I think so. I don't schedule the bands, and I'm not doing the release forms. That's Zach, who is our fearless leader, who takes care of all that stuff. But my understanding of what makes it work is that since it's all for radio performance, that means bands have PRO licensing, which is radio stations have PRO, Performance Rights Organizations, licenses with BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, and that's what allows the band to come and perform like they're doing a radio performance and get broadcast on the radio. Now, that same license doesn't cover the ability to distribute the music in a recording, I don't believe, and make things downloadable, although some variations of that have happened in the past. But at least that's my understanding of why this is particularly possible with so many bands and so much music, and why we don't have like a best of CD yet after 12 years.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome. Good suggestion. Pete, if you drop in enough comments, we'll make sure that gets to the higher-ups. The higher-ups. Is it the higher-ups or the higher-ups?
Higher up.
Higher up.
Any other questions, or should I keep?
Yeah, just a quick one.
Yeah.
What's the price point for the mixer? That's from Johan, and they're from Jamaica.
That is an excellent
Pretty
question.
sure, I don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure it's a mid $2,000. Like I think
Yeah, I
it's
think
2,400 maybe.
I think it's
somewhere
higher
in
than that,
Is
actually.
it?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've seen the MSRP price,
Hold
but
on.
we'll look it up. We'll Google it. We'll find out for you. I wish I had the answer for you. Sorry. What else, man? Any others? All right.
Oh, will you be streaming the sessions?
I don't know that we'll be streaming the actual live sessions. Again, if we can, we'd love to. There are a lot of videos from previous Bonnaroos. So for a few years, we had a video crew in here that was doing like real style multi-camera shoots. And you can find those on my website, thehaybalestudio.com. And that's just a link that brings you back to my Toy Box site, where I have a dedicated page with previous videos and stuff like that. There's also Hay Bale sessions on YouTube, where you can find previous videos. But if we can stream it this year, we'll definitely be doing it. So just stay tuned, and we'll announce it.
To go back, the mixer is $3,000.
$3,000.
$3,000.
There you go. So
We actually just got a really good question, and
yeah, go ahead.
how are you so handsome?
Is that from my girlfriend?
That's from Mix Better Now.
Oh, no, that's from Chris. Hey, Chris, I mean, I've been hanging out and seeing you on YouTube myself, too, so I just tried to, like, style myself after you. That's pretty much my answer to that, I think. Actually, that was Mixed Better Now. That was Pete. That is Pete. What am I looking at?
At the bottom, the chat, he responds.
Man, I can't read that small. Nice. That's Pete. Well, let's just kind of dig in some more. Let's walk through this mixer.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Come on over here, and we'll really dig in. All right, Michael. What do we want to say about this? There we go. That was a special foot shot. We just want to make sure you can see that I was still barefoot. Let's start over on the left. We'll just kind of go across the console. You'll notice there's this whole strip right here, strippy strip. And you know what? I don't know what these are. I haven't used those 2 buttons yet. But the buttons we're using most is we're on this main mix. When we hit main mix, it's what you think it would be. It's a mix going out this main mix output. It's also up here. There's 2 mix outputs on the back that would just take a regular old mix. We're doing something fancier than that. Of course we are. We have to do something much more complicated than that. But most of the time while I'm mixing, I'm controlling the mix from main mix setting here. And then over on this side of the board, when I hit AUX inputs, we're actually seeing all these AUX returns into the mix. So there's built-in 4 channels of effects, and then A1 here, which is AUX 1 return. We have our spring reverb coming in, and which is down here on the bottom of the rack. I don't know if you can point to it here, but this is our master room spring reverb. So below main mix, we have a whole series of what are they calling them again? It's AUX sub and matrix, but it's flex mix, right? So we have a whole series of flex mixes down this side, and below that you see the effects, right? So what we can do is at any point you can hit one of these buttons, and the entire mix configuration on the console changes and shows you what's going on with that particular flex mix. I'll dig in more and explain what these are, but to begin with, like, we're using flex mix 1 and 2. We're using this AUX mix 3 and 4. Here's our reverb send on AUX 7. I guess we're only sending electric guitar A right now.
So far.
Let's take care of that. And then you come over here and you see that we have headphone mixes A, B, C, and D. So each one of these doesn't look like anything's different going on, but we'll explain that too. Right now, what these faders are showing us is that the headphones are getting the same mix that I'm mixing when I'm mixing up here. That's why it looks the same on the console. Come down here and you got different effect sends. You can see we were sending some effects from the electric and from a vocal mic. As far as effects that we're using, we have a plate reverb here on effects A. We've got a delay on effects B. And if you go to effects B, you can see the delay pops up on the screen. And then that's tied into the tap tempo so that I can live tap in the tempo of the song while the band's playing, which allows me to just keep that delay kind of moving along and kind of ebbing and flowing with the band's tempo, which is really hip. And then on effects C here, we got a room sound going, and you can see up here the main page changes with that. We found a great drum tight room setting. That's one of their presets, and we tweaked it slightly. And we're using that to give a little bit more sense of space to the drums, or just like, instruments in the band as a whole, wherever it's needed. Because the sound of our room here is pretty tight, it's pretty dead, and it really helps to just kind of like add a little bit more space around it. It just makes it sound a little more powerful. And then the spring reverb on mix 7 actually comes back over here, which I was showing you before. So right now, this is a little tricky because whenever you're one of these selected, you want to be careful that you don't push up a fader thinking you're pushing up the mix by accident. So you have to go back to main mix and then go to AUX inputs. And now we're seeing my 24 channels for mixing plus the AUX returns. There's also a talkback mic feeding the mix if we want it, stuff like that. So let's keep going. Come out of this. You've got faders here. Let's go to the first fader and we'll take a look at what's going on with it. Actually, I'm going to go to this snare top. So this fader 3, you can see you can put in your names here, which is helpful. You can see that we also added our own tape anyway because it's kind of hard to replace old school tape. You know, you just there's no easier way to know where everything is, I think, than writing it by hand if you can. But let's go to the snare 3. Select that. You can select the channel. Also, if you hit solo, I have it in a mode now where the select will move with the solo. And the reason that select is important is when you hit select, it means that this whole section up here, this fat channel, and this window are all going to follow whichever one is selected. So the way that a digital console works is, digital allows you to put a whole ton of controls in one little zone, but it has to be shared by each thing that's being mixed through it. Looks like this is going to pop out. Let me help you out with that. Oops. You got that?
Question?
All right. Don't let me stop the video there by
No,
accident.
you're good.
Just watch out. It might look like it's going to pop on the floor. What's the question?
Pete Johns is asking, what are some bands that you've recorded that have really impressed you over the past years that might not be well known and we should check out?
I think last year we had Margaret Glaspie in.
Margaret Glaspie was
And she
great.
was about as impressive as it could get for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's a taste thing, right? So I might love one band, somebody else might love another, but I highly, highly recommend you check out Margaret Glaspie. That was probably one of my favorites from last year.
My favorite, I think 3 years ago, before they were super well known, Alt J came in and they blew me away. I think they're getting more well known now, but at the time they had just started, and I was like, it made me like a fan for life. Seeing them in here that early. So
Joe, any faves?
There've been a lot of
Lizzo.
Lizzo was
Lizzo,
pretty cool.
dude.
Yeah, Lizzo was
was
really
awesome.
cool. She came in last year. I had never heard of her. I find new music every year doing this. It's super fun.
Come on, guys. Let's not forget Corey Feldman and his Band of Angels. I mean, that was
Man.
that was a serious highlight. That was an event.
It was one of a kind.
It was one of a kind.
Yeah.
It was pretty rock and roll, right? What else?
You remember J. Roddy Walston?
Oh
Yeah.
Dude,
That was cool.
Those
That was
guys
awesome.
almost blew the roof off. I thought, and that was the time. I'll never forget that session because we had thought that because they were so rock and roll, we thought that we had used the stereo compressor too hard and crushed them.
Oh, right.
And then we went back and listened to it and it was like, no,
perfect.
that was
It was like the best sounding thing we
amazing.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was one of those like
It's funny.
Bob Ross happy accident things.
Nick Lobel.
Raylan Baxter was pretty amazing.
yeah.
That was last
Yeah,
year.
he was awesome.
He's a
Yeah,
local
his whole
guy.
band just killed it.
Yeah,
He's Nashville,
that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Grace Potter last year was fantastic. Very, very cool. She has an incredible singing voice. But we've this is our 13th year, so there's been a lot of artists that have come and gone from here. Richard Thompson was a highlight for me just because I was always a big Richard Thompson fan. I had the pleasure of recording Daniel Lanois, who was actually one of the first people I got to meet during my internship at Woodland Studios. And when he was recording Wrecking Ball with Emmylou Harris there. And he came in and started bringing in all this stuff, and he put in like foam and would block off with blankets and panels, block off the amps. And he would color code and write simple names and numbers on all the mic lines. And that's exactly what we do at the Hay Bale Studio now. And so I was able to record him and then show him, what I learned from him 15 something years ago, at least, I think at the time, we're using right here. So that was pretty cool. That was fun.
Cool.
What do you got, Sean Denny?
Yeah, who are you most excited to record this year?
Pull up the schedule.
I got the schedule.
What's the schedule?
Alright, should we go?
We've been so busy setting up, I haven't even looked at the
Should we go
schedule.
day by day?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, tomorrow, starting at 2 p.m., we have Wells.
Okay, Wells is Nashville, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, awesome.
Right after that, we've got Twiddle.
Twiddle? That sounds like
Yeah,
groovy,
that sounds
man.
good. 4 p.m., Mount Joy.
Mount Joy, awesome.
And 5 p.m., Mondo Cosmo.
Nice, I like that. You think that's going to be psychedelic?
You know what? I've heard them, and they're actually not. To me, it's kind of a misleading name, but they're great.
All right.
So, anyways, coming back on Friday, right after an early.
You gotta let people see how colorful our schedule is. That's
yeah,
that's
it's beautiful.
just as important as anything.
I just don't want to give anything away. I
Oh
want
yeah,
keep,
don't.
We got the Orwells. They are local. They're Nashville. Strumbellas.
The Strumbellas.
They are. They have noted that they're a 6-piece.
Was it Strumbella? Ella.
Exactly. They got 2 guitars, keys, fiddles, percussion, and how many vocals do you think?
4.
They're a 6-piece. How many vocals do you think?
6 vocals.
That's right. Good job.
Nice, man.
Wow.
Well, what are we gonna do for 6 vocals? Let's break that one down.
Yeah.
So that one is 6 vocals. We've got 2 SM7s that go through our main vocal chain.
Yep.
We have scads of Mic Tech PM9s.
Yep.
So we'll
Two
just
of
use
those
those.
will go through BVB, and then most likely the other 2 will go through electric guitar because they probably have acoustics.
Yeah. So what's our instrumentation on that band?
2 guitars, which I'm assuming are
Two
probably
acoustics probably,
Yeah.
right? All right. So that's
Keys.
acoustic mic and vocal mic. That's
Yeah.
probably the leads.
Yeah. Keys.
Keys and vocal mic.
Yeah. Fiddle.
Fiddle. A lot of times you don't need a vocal mic
Right.
for
You
the
just
fiddle.
double up.
They're just like singing harmonies and it just goes into the fiddle mic.
And percussion. So probably also. a vocal
Percussion, no, percussion you're probably micing the percussion loud.
Yeah.
And then they need a vocal mic.
Yep. mic. So that should be.
So that's what we're gonna do for those guys.
3 p.m. I think this is potentially unanimously what everyone's looking forward to the most to answer this guy's question.
Yeah.
Michael Kiwanuka is coming in.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about him. What's the music like?
Alright. Joe. What
Joe.
is the Michael Kiwanuka
Tell us
sound?
all
It's super cool. It's like soul groovy, but it's got Danger Mouse produced it, so it's got that like spaghetti western thing that he does on top of being like real groovy and like cool dry sounds and stuff. He put out a record last year that's really really cool.
What do you think he's gonna bring for band or instruments?
I have no idea. I don't know.
You think it might be like a full kind of funk band?
I would love
Does
that.
this record sound like
The
a
record's
soul
it's
band?
like drum, your typical drums and bass and guitars and stuff.
Dude,
but there's
that's what
lots
I'm
of
getting.
lots of strings on the record, which I doubt he tours with a string
We
section.
got great string patches on the
For
Yamaha
sure.
PD.
Yeah, we have a keyboard with some really mediocre string
Yeah.
patches that they can
They're
use.
not mediocre.
Sorry,
They're
sorry,
good.
dude.
Just the
Sorry.
organ was a
Really
little
great,
mediocre.
really great string patches. Forgive me, sorry.
Best string patches ever.
I misspoke. For
All
sure.
right, what's on Saturday or Friday?
Well, hold
That's
on.
only Thursday.
No,
right?
this is Friday. This
Oh,
is
we made
Friday.
it through Friday
Yeah,
at
sorry.
this point. Yes.
4 p.m. we've got someone called Twin Limb, and
Right.
the note on this guy is he's a human synthesizer. So I don't know what that means,
yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
sure that'll be an interesting session. I'm assuming. 5 p.m. Friday, Wildorado.
Wild
or
or
maybe
Wildorado.
Wildorado. I don't know.
Wild or Auto. Maybe that's it.
Maybe that's it.
That's
All right.
pretty cool.
That's Saturday, or that's Friday. Sorry, Saturday starting at 11 a.m. Lucas Nilsson. 1 p.m. Kevin Morby.
All right.
3 p.m. I think this is also.
We get any recognition on the names from the Rockstars out there? No, not yet. All right, cool.
All right, 3 p.m. I think this is another a highly anticipated one. Is Joseph? They were in last year.
Oh yeah, right.
Did a damn good job.
They were great.
Yeah.
It's like women that sound a lot like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young.
Yes, I think.
CSN.
Yeah. 4 Lucy Dacus.
Nice.
5
Gonna
p.m.
rock us.
Lucy Dacus gonna rock us. 5 p.m. River Wireless.
All right.
Interesting. And that.
And then
brings
we're
us-
still not done.
It brings us to Sunday, which is Ruben Bedez.
Nice. Ruben Baidez or
Yeah.
something like that.
1 p.m. Walker. I wish I was cool enough to go by one name. You know?
It's like you think they sound like the Walkmen?
I hope it's Wheeler Walker Jr.
Might be.
That'd be cool. It's probably not. 2 p.m. is Greenski Bluegrass, and that's how
All right, cool.
we end our time.
That's gonna be a lot of mics and a lot of vocal mics.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Or they could do what Chris Teely did,
Punch
and
Brothers, yeah.
the Punch Brothers, and put up one mic. And
Well, they did
They had
more
two
than one.
mics.
They got like
No, they
2 or
got
3
two
now,
mics.
right?
They had 2
Yeah.
mics and something on the bass, so I
Yeah.
think it was 3 inputs.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So, Rockstars, if you have a band coming in and it's an, bluegrass, it doesn't work for everybody. They have to be used
Really,
to this.
well, yes, and just incredibly talented.
But you can take, instead of miking everything up where it gets complicated and you're sort of pulling your hair out, you can instead just go, you know what, we're just going to put one mic up, an Omni mic, and just have everybody stand around it and sing into it and perform. And then it becomes a trick of, you know, making sure that acoustics are at the right level compared to voices, and that solos step forward and go into the mic. I think the coolest version we had of that was David Rawlings and Gillian Welch came in with the David Rawlings sound machine.
David Rawlings machine.
Yeah, David Rawlings machine. And he insisted, or he asked, that we only use one SM57. I think it was one. I don't even think it was 2. I think it was one SM57
That's about
right there.
Yeah.
And then they just played and sang into it, and the bass was standing back here behind it. And he kept telling me, he was like, there's 2 mics, I think he said, that were his favorite mics. The RCA 44 and sure SM57. So there you go. SM57 again. And so it was cool. Yeah, we just EQ'd it a little bit, put like a little bit of a short echo slap on it and thickened it, and that was the whole sound. It sounded killer.
Cool. Looks like we got more questions if you
All
guys
right,
are
yeah,
ready.
let's do it. Let's just keep doing questions.
Joey Boswell, will the console fader automation send or write automation to the DAW?
Now we're talking. Let's find out. All right, so we want to know if our fader moves will show up in the DAW. So, and who asked it again?
Joey Boswell.
Okay, Joey, good question. We have it set up where intentionally we want the mic pre without any effects going to Studio One and capturing it kind of raw. And my reasoning for that is if I pull it back here to remix it, I've already got my settings here and I want to go through the settings again. I don't want to like double EQ, you know, I want to just EQ the one time. So we set it up to feed to you without getting any of the compression, without getting the fader moves. And I'll show you where I set that up. So here's the snare track again. It's selected. And then up here in the fat channel, there's this one right here. First you select input, and it gives you like preamp gain, high pass filter, pan. I guess we get gate threshold and limiter threshold there for some reason. But there's this one called DAW post. And if you turn this on, then I think what that does is that means the fader move is going to affect what's going into Studio One. There was another place for that too. At least I remember what that was. I thought there was like a pre-post kind of thing. But I think that might just be it right there. I think if you just turn on DAW post, it affects how we do that.
Yep.
We don't have a quick way to do that, do we?
No.
All right,
No.
good enough.
Unfortunately not.
We can't set it up to show it right now, but I believe that's how we do it.
Yeah.
So excellent question. The cool thing about that is, yeah, you could capture your moves into the DAW and it would affect the levels going into the DAW, and then I guess you'd have those if you wanted to have that compression and EQ and stuff on it. But I don't know if you'd want to, you know, have fader moves hitting the DAW. You could probably do some version of a mix back with that. What's the next question?
Hey, so Pete from Mix Better Now is saying, how do you guys manage all the load in and load out? He thinks it's like crazy wild.
Yeah, so fortunately this year we actually got, we've got Addie with us, and Addie's been doing all these great little video montages of us getting everything loaded in and loaded out. But I want to let you guys kind of explain what our setup is.
Yeah.
What's the first thing we do, Nick?
I mean, we bring a lot of backline with us. So sometimes the bands will come in and, you know, most bands are using our drum kit. They might swap out cymbals.
Do you think
or
he means
snare.
like load in just for each hour? Do you think it, like, do we want to talk about
I don't know exactly what he
Monday and
means.
Tuesday at the studio?
Yeah, sure. I mean, a lot of the time spent the last 2 days has just been loading in all of our gear, getting set up, setting up the live room, putting up mics and sound checking everything. And then the daily grind, once we start recording bands, we're doing a band every hour. they're bringing in some of their own instruments and combined with some of the backline that we provide. So it is pretty, it's quite a hustle to like keep everything moving along and get the bands in here and get everything set up and ready to go.
Dude, I'm gonna
Yeah.
jump in and qualify that too. So
Yeah, go for it.
Bonnaroo is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And hey, Sean Daly, we didn't lose the laptop, did we? Is it still with us?
Laptop's gone. The Wi-Fi is being goofy.
Oh, okay. Bonnaroo's the 4 days: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But on Monday, and even before that, Michael and I were in on Sunday, like tweaking out mix settings and stuff, because there was just a lot for us to learn about new software and a new mixer and everything, and how to route it and how to make sure everything was happening. But Monday, everybody shows up at the studio at 10 in the morning, and then we start collecting all the stuff we need. We hook up the console, we line check everything, we make sure everything's tested. We essentially do a dry run test of the entire studio in the live room at the Toy Box studio, so that we know that everything works, and then when we're done, we know that if we just pack that up and put it into a truck, when we come down here, we're going to have everything we need. But at the same time, we've kind of learned to just delegate different things. So in this case, Nick and Sean, their responsibilities are everything for the control room glass that way, and then Megahertz, myself, and Joe, our responsibility is everything from the glass this way. So we sort of get the control room, and then, Joe's got his own mastering rig, so he's got it easy. And but seriously though, like Nick starts out and he just collects an entire studio's worth of backline and just collects and collects and collects and collects lots of stuff.
Yeah.
So you put together a whole drum kit, bass amps, guitar amps, acoustic guitars, bass guitars, keyboard rigs, stools, tape, markers,
Yeah.
cables,
Headlamps.
more cables, headphone boxes. So yeah, it's a ton of stuff, but we spent all Monday and Tuesday, or we spent all Monday putting everything together, going to bed Monday night knowing it's working. Tuesday we come into the studio and we have the truck now, and we kind of do one last look at it, make sure we got everything that's working, pack it all up, load the truck, drive an hour down from Nashville down to Manchester, and then start loading everything and hooking it up Tuesday night. Today's Wednesday, so we've spent all day today just continuing to hook things up and sound check and test stuff. And we'll have different people go out and get on instruments and play while we can just kind of listen and make sure it sounds awesome, And then this is the first time we've ever decided that Wednesday night was supposed to be completed by a YouTube live video. Usually we're just drinking beer by now. And then that's the answer to that. But then, as far as during the sessions go, is the band just shows up out on the steps of the studio.
Mm-hmm.
We go out and meet them, and then we're just like, what's the first thing you ask them when they walk in?
We ask them about their instrumentation. So Sean and I can get ready and get set up for them, make sure we've got all the right mics up, make sure we've got space for everybody that's in the band. Like it could be one person, just acoustic and a vocal, or it could be, a huge band, 8 or 9, 10 people. So that's kind of the first thing that we need to know when a band shows up, as far as just getting them, positioned and getting their instruments and mics checked and everything like that.
And then we clean up all the mics and the cables and stuff in between every session. We'll leave the drums mic'd up and the bass and a couple of things like that. But a lot of times we'll actually coil up the mics. So talk about like the mic snakes or the boxes. I guess we don't have boxes this time. It's just literally a mic snake laying on the ground. But what do we do to keep it simple? How do you guys know? Is everything just called 18, 17?
So we've got
40?
24 channels running from the back of the console into the live room through snakes, and in the live room, the end of each snake is labeled with what that instrument is. So pretty much mirroring the scribble strip on the console. So, I think we've got perk, kick, snare top, snare bottom, and so on. So when, you know, a band comes in, we can just say like, we're gonna use the vocal A chain or we're gonna use the vocal B chain, and rather than dealing with, you know, numbers and patching, everything just gets patched in up there into the corresponding chain.
Yeah, so we stepped it up with colors this year too, right?
Yeah.
Because we used to bring a stage box, and then it's a little easier. You kind of know where on the box you find the inputs. But this year we have just a snake that's just kind of splayed out on the ground. And so we thought, like, you know, how are you going to find Vox A? You're going to have to dig around and flip cables around. So we brought colored tape. So, Sean Dilly, what's our color scheme for out there?
Oh man, so we got right is pink, and then green is left.
It's not left and right though. It's
A and B. Yeah. So that basically means like you have guitar A, guitar B, vocal A, vocal B, BVG A, BVG B, and then we did vocals will be blue, acoustic guitars are yellow.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, because those are the ones that get confusing.
So if we need to find the vocal A connection, what colors do we look for?
Blue, green.
Blue and green. So yeah, there should be a mic cable out there with blue and green tape on it. It's a bit of an experiment. We haven't done colors yet. And actually the reason why we did colors is because I thought I was being really smart, and I was ordering gaff tape for the studio on Amazon Prime one day. And I went on there and it had this like picture, and it was like all these rolls of colored gaff tape. Yeah. Hold on. I'll show you in a sec. So they had all these rolls of colored gaff tape, and I was like, and it was a great price. And I was like, that's awesome. I'm gonna totally get it. I clicked it and I got it, and it showed up in the mail, and they were all this big. So it turns out they're about like a half an inch wide, little teeny ones. But anyway, so that turned out to be good for coloring stuff. What else? What other questions we got?
So we're almost approaching 9 here, and
Okay.
we got a question from Chris at Mixdown Online. Is there one drum setup for the sessions?
Yes. Should we take the camera out and go show the studio? All right, come on out. We'll go mobile. We do. We brought our vintage drum kit, and we also brought a handful of snares. So we got a few different things. But if you come out here, you see this is the lab room. I don't know how well lit it is for you to see stuff. I'll let you be the judge of that, Addie. I wouldn't show anything too dark. Last time it was like you couldn't even see it.
It's not very.
But
if we can get a
you can't quite see it, but down
something.
here, well, we got a light. Sean's got a light now, so we can shine the light wherever you're pointing. We've got guitar amps down there. We've got on the other side, yeah, there you go. A couple of different guitar amps. We have our quilters. This is the Gibson Falcon vintage amp. Sounds fantastic. We got the Fender Pro Junior, which has got a great crunchy tone to it too. You got enough slack? All right, cool.
We're reaching the limit.
And then over here we got the Silvertone 212 running. And then we've got a keyboard here with weighted keys for piano and some limited organ sounds. But come on back here and we'll see the drums.
I don't know if I'll be able to.
Yeah, it's about as far as you're gonna get.
Really? That's as far as the extension cord goes? All right. I don't know if you can see it, Chris. Back here there's a drum kit. Let me borrow your light. There you go. So we have, what do we have? We have, is this the Slingerland? The kick? It is, no, sorry, it's the Ludwig. We got Ludwig kick. We've got a Baltimore drum snare, wooden snare. We actually have 2 Pearl Maxwin toms. These are like student brand toms, but they sound great, and we've been using them every year. We have this, I think actually the one that got brought is not a real ride. I hope you guys brought the other rides too. Okay, good. This one is actually a marching band crash cymbal, turns out. I think it's a Zildjian though, and that's probably why I picked it up. And then we have Zildjian Newbeat hi-hats. And then we've got a Peisty crash and a Zildjian over here, and they're all cracked anyway. But that's one thing about crash cymbals is you kind of want drummers to use their own if they're going to crack them anyway. Otherwise, all yours will be broken later. But this is the drum kit. So it's set up back there. The drummer's got his own mix too. We got a bass amp over here. The bass rig is it's a Ampeg SVT2 head with a Dietz 115 cabinet, and we got the AKG 414 mic on it. So that's gonna just help us get a good bass tone in the room and everything. But the DI was sounding killer too. Oh yeah, our DI is the Avalon. Man, I forgot the model number. I haven't said it in quite a while. It's like the U5 or the DI5 or something like that. But it's a classic, great bass DI. And then we got a couple acoustic guitars. This is my 1979 Guild Mahogany, which is cool. I mean, most bands will bring in their own guitars, so we don't have to. This is just if somebody needs it. And then we have some basses and amps and stuff like that. Let's see what else we got here for questions. Should I just jump in, Sean Daly?
There's like one last question that I saw.
Down at the bottom or something? Is there an online repository for the recordings? I think you asked that, right?
No.
Here, why don't you, I can't read it, I apologize. It's too small. Should we go back in the brighter room?
Yeah.
Alright, come on. Now it's dark outside, we can't do an outside walkthrough around. Well, we can anyway, I guess. We can close it down with going outside the Hay Bale. So, we got our last question?
Yeah, I think we got two. So the one you just read was, is there an online repository for the recordings you're going to be making?
Again, that would be listening to the radio, Googling for any of the recordings from, just type in Hay Bale Studio or Hay Bale Sessions, Backstage Bonnaroo, and you'll find stuff. And then YouTube, we've got a whole YouTube channel there. If you go to my website, the Hay Bale Studio, so that's HAYBALE studio.com. That link is also on the YouTube while you're watching this right there. If you click right below this video, you'll see the link there, and that will take you to like a dedicated page for the Hay Bale Studio. There's like an interview we did with Fox News some years back, and then also a whole series of great videos that were shot in here before too. I think that's the best way to find him. Yeah.
I think we got one solid last question. It says, how long have you been not wearing shoes?
Let's see. I've been not wearing shoes since 2012, I think, or 13. One of the two. That's when I ran a first, not a shoeless race. Let's look at mastering for a sec before we close out. I want us to ask Joe questions. Everybody, this is Joe Hutchinson.
Hello.
Mastering engineer extraordinaire. Awesome dude. Once again, also you'll find Joe on episode 13 of Recording Studio Rockstars. Joe, will you tell us what's going on over here?
Yeah, basically, I'm just capturing the stereo mix that Lidge is creating on the console, and I have a digital ABV send, which is an Ethernet cable, and I also have two running across the floor, two mic cables, just XLRs, giving me straight audio signal. And for this, I'm using, for the actual audio signal, I have a limiter here to catch anything that gets a little too wild, and an interface. And I'm going to record it into Studio One, which is a PreSonus DAW digital audio workstation, which pairs pretty well with the PreSonus console.
And you're actually not even using the newest presentation.
No, I'm not.
You're using, like, the
I'm
last
using version 2 instead of version 3. It's because I have used version 2 a lot, and so I'm a little more familiar with it. And
but
then,
sonically, it still sounds great, right?
yeah, I think it sounds the same. And then I chop up the, it's kind of, the bands do the songs in one take, and sometimes they'll even run all three, they'll do maybe 3 songs, one right after the other, and it'll just be a 10-minute thing that I capture that's a mix. So I chop them up and make them actually 3 songs, because that's what the radio wants. They don't want one 10-minute song, they want 3.5-minute songs.
Right.
I chop them up into 3 songs and label them, and then I'm connected to a radio server. There's a tent just 20 feet away from us, and I upload the files to. I actually do the mastering while the band is loading out and the next band is loading in, and then the files are usually uploading by the time we start recording the following band. So it's really fast paced. It's like 10 minutes or something, 15 minutes to do it.
Occasionally, you've had to do anything tricky, like ever edit different things together Like you might have to put a different ending on something or something.
Yeah, or like if because it's for radio, if a band slips out some words that you can't say on radio, I have to go.
Right.
I have to go find where they play that same chord somewhere else and fly it in to cover up the fact that they swore. Because
Bands
otherwise,
can-
it's useless,
Bands can be such a pain in the butt.
right?
So, can you give us some insight into like what you actually do? How do you make something sound better? Like, are there certain plugins you use, or
Right. So aside from the fact that I send stuff through the actual analog signal I'm getting, I do send through this limiter. That's like one stage. Aside from that, I actually can't use outboard gear in this scenario because of how fast-paced it is. I mean, I have time to work on the songs, but I don't even have time to bounce the songs in real time. Like, I have to bounce them offline. And then I check them after I bounce them, of course, but it's very fast-paced. I can't really use gear. So I'm using just some plugins, mostly Ozone. It's a plugin made by Isotope. It's kind of an all-in-one.
can you see all right?
You can sort of see this. It's sort of an all-in-one plugin. It does a lot. You can split up, do mid-side processing, multi-band dynamics. It's got a dynamic EQ, limiter, dithering. It pretty much does everything you want to do in the mastering stage. And
Now, how do you know what it sounds like while you're doing all this stuff?
well, so I'm also primarily forced to work on headphones just due to the nature of the fact that we're recording through a very thin wall. You know, I can't listen on speakers all the time. But during the changeover between the bands, I do listen on speakers. I have some little BM5As here.
I would guess
Decent
that
reference
Rockstars are probably dying to know exactly what headphones you use.
Oh, they're Focal headphones.
Can we show them off?
Yeah, they're the Spirit Professional by Focal.
And what's cool about them?
They're just really they're pretty true to what's going on, and they don't like sound good. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty accurate and pretty unforgiving. So if something's a little harsh, like it'll be a little harsh. You're not gonna want to.
So like when I'm looking at that EQ curve there, I notice that there's some high-end boost going on. So is that like a typical thing that because these headphones aren't excited, you put them on and it just sounds a little bit dull or muffled, and that's when you just know to boost stuff up?
Sometimes it's not. This was not a headphone. This was when we were trying to make a test mix that we did sound like something from last year. This was like me trying to match an EQ curve kind of thing. This isn't what I wouldn't always scoop the mids and boost the high end in a song. That's just what I did in that specific situation. There's actually pretty good high end in these.
So really, Isotope is like that's the jam right there.
I mean, it is far and away the most useful mastering plugin that I've come across.
All right, cool.
I've used a bunch of this.
There it is, Isotope.
Very exciting stuff, I'm sure.
Dig it. Do we have any more questions, Sean? I think that's pretty good. I think we can probably wrap it up. Why don't we walk out and actually sign off and say goodbye outside? It's probably pitch black outside, but maybe we'll see like fireworks in the distance. Rockstars, if it's too dark for you to actually see any of us while we sign off, then I want to say love you guys. Thanks for watching this, and what?
Smash the like button.
Oh yes, smash the like button. Sorry, Sean Dilly was saying it in like lips language to me, so I couldn't understand it. Yes, please hit the like button. What else? Drop your comments in, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and share. I think, right? Anything else? I don't know. I'm new to this. I'm learning. Come on out. See if there's anything to see. We're locked. We're now leaving the Hay Bale. If you look to the right, watch your step there. All right, so you can see that this is the Hay Bale Studio right here. Giant bales of hay with 2 doors. People coming and going. Bands go in this door and they come out that door. And music goes over here to the radio tent. We can even peek in the window and you can see what's going on. If you peek in here, well, it's a little hard to see right there because there's not enough stations set up. But these are all radio stations inside there. You see the little booth?
Yeah.
There's no DJ yet, and we haven't gotten started. You just press it right up to the glass. Can't, the lens is on that side.
Yeah,
There
I
you
know.
go.
I'm trying to see.
Yeah, well, you can't quite see in there, but yeah, that's the deal. All right, cool. And then there's all our beers over there. So I think this is an excellent time for us to sign off and go get a beer. What do you say?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rockstars. We'll see you around the studio. Cheers.